Welcome to Relationship Reset with life coach Dr. Mark Shook. In each podcast, Mark will weave together the ancient truths of Scripture with the latest cutting-edge neuroscience in short, concise, effective, and doable principles and actions to reset your relationship dynamic.
Hello and welcome to Relationship Reset. I'm your host, Mark Shook, and we are going to be taking a deep dive into emotionally focused therapy. We've been looking at the conversations, what it takes to have that deep, secure, safe emotional bond. We're on conversation number 6, and that's bonding through sex and touch, connecting physically, connecting emotionally. The 6th conversation that Dr. Sue Johnson talks about in her book, Hold Me Tight, is one of the most profound ways couples connect, and that's through physical intimacy. Dr. Johnson highlights the importance of bonding through sex and touch as a key component in creating secure emotional bonds in the relationship. Physical intimacy, whether it's sex, touch, holding hands, or simply being close, can be so powerful to connect emotionally with your partner. However, many couples, they face challenges when it comes to maintaining both emotional and physical closeness. See, when emotional distance creeps in, and that's why those past conversations that we've talked about, go back and review them. When that creeps in and the emotional distance is there, physical intimacy, the physical side of relationships, is going to get some distance almost every time. When couples learn to reconnect emotionally, physical intimacy can become an even more meaningful way to express love and trust and connection. So today we're going to explore how physical intimacy and emotional bonding are deeply intertwined, why both matter, and how couples can strengthen both aspects of their relationship. Let's look first at the connection between emotional and physical intimacy. At its core, physical intimacy is not just about the physical act itself, whether it's sex, a hug, a touch. It's about that emotional connection that comes with it. When couples feel emotionally close, physical intimacy becomes a way to express that closeness in a tangible, powerful way. But here's the important part. Emotional connection fuels physical connection. Did you get that? Emotional connection fuels physical connection and vice versa. It's this reinforcing cycle. When couples feel emotionally secure and connected, they're more likely to engage in physical intimacy that feels meaningful and fulfilling. On the other hand, when there's emotional distance or unresolved tension, physical intimacy can become less frequent and less satisfying, often leading to more emotional distance. It's going to work one way or the other. Think about the times when you felt emotionally close to your partner, maybe after a deep conversation or spending some quality time together. In these moments, physical touch or intimacy often feels, it just feels natural, like a continuation of the emotional bond. However, when there's conflict or disconnection, physical touch can feel awkward or even stressful. This connection between emotional and physical intimacy is why couples need to work on both areas together. A strong emotional bond creates the foundation for healthy physical intimacy, and physical closeness reinforces that emotional connection. So let's look at the role of physical touch in emotional bonding. Physical touch is one of the most fundamental ways that humans connect emotionally. From the time we're babies, we rely on touch to feel safe, comforted, loved. In adult relationships, touch continues to play this important role. It's one of the primary ways we communicate affection and care without words. Touch is reassurance. Those simple acts of touch, like holding hands or cuddling or hugging, send the message, I'm here for you. You're safe with me. And these acts of physical affections create emotional safety, which is key to maintaining a strong relationship. Picture a couple sitting on the couch after a long day. One partner reaches over and gently places a hand on the other's back. That small touch says, I'm with you. We're in this together. It creates a moment of connection, even if no words are spoken. And research has shown that physical touch releases oxytocin. That's the love hormone. That's the binding hormone. That's the hormone that is associated with feelings of trust and bonding and emotional closeness. When couples engage in physical touch, it strengthens the emotional connection by promoting feelings of safety and comfort. There's some challenges in the cycle of emotional and physical disconnection that we need to look at. Despite the powerful role that physical touch and intimacy can play, many couples find themselves in a cycle of disconnection where emotional distance leads to less physical intimacy, and less physical intimacy leads to more emotional distance. It can be a tough cycle to break. When there's unresolved conflict and hurt or emotional distance in the relationship, couples may find it difficult to engage in physical intimacy. I can almost promise you that they will. One partner may withdraw emotionally, making physical closeness feel uncomfortable or forced. As a result, the other partner is going to feel rejected or unloved, leading to further emotional disconnection. On the other side, when physical intimacy decreases, it can lead to feelings of rejection or insecurity in one of the partners, and they might start to feel like they aren't desired or valued, which creates emotional hurt. This emotional pain then makes it harder to reconnect physically, and it just creates this vicious cycle. For example, a couple might go through a stressful period where they're both really busy with work or family responsibilities. And over time, that stress causes them to drift apart emotionally, and they stop prioritizing physical touch or intimacy. This lack of physical closeness then makes it harder for them to reconnect emotionally. Do you see that cycle? And they start to feel like they're growing further and further apart till you see these relationships and it's like just two roommates living in the same house together. Breaking this cycle requires addressing both the emotional connection and the physical distance. It's not enough just to try to fix the physical intimacy. You got to work on reestablishing that emotional safety and connection too. So how can couples reconnect emotionally and physically when they've drifted apart like that? Dr. Johnson gives some steps to help you rebuild that emotional bond. And it always starts, number one, with emotional vulnerability. Physical intimacy is deeply tied to emotional vulnerability. To reconnect physically, couples need to create an environment where both partners feel safe to be vulnerable. This means having those honest conversations about how you're feeling and what you need from each other emotionally. One partner might say, lately, I've been feeling distant. I miss being close to you physically, but I think the distance is because we haven't been connecting emotionally. Can we talk about what's been going on between us? This kind of vulnerability helps both partners understand that the issue isn't just physical intimacy. It's about the emotional connection that underpins it. The second thing that Dr. Johnson says is engage in non-sexual touch. Before jumping into sexual intimacy, focus on non-sexual touch as a way to rebuild trust and connection. Simple acts like holding hands, hugging, cuddling can create moments of closeness without the pressure of sexual expectations. Guys, we can be really bad about that, where we think of everything as foreplay. And it's important that you show your wife that you just want to hold her hand, that you just want to put your arm around her, that you just want to hug her up tight and let her feel safe with you. Try setting aside time each day to just sit together and hold hands or give each other that hug. These small moments of physical closeness help to rebuild emotional safety. And that emotional safety will eventually lead to a more fulfilling sexual connection. Number 3, Sue Johnson says, communicate openly about physical intimacy. We have to be open about it. When it comes to sex, open communication is key. Couples often feel, they just struggle to talk about their physical needs, their physical desires, their physical concerns. But having these conversations can help both partners feel more comfortable and connected. Let me give you an example. One partner might say, I want us to feel more connected physically, but I also want to make sure we're both feeling emotionally close first. Can we talk about what makes you feel connected during sex? By having open conversations about physical intimacy, couples can align their emotional and physical needs, making sex not just a physical act, but an expression of emotional closeness. That's what's so beautiful about sex in marriage, sex in a committed, emotionally safe bond. It's the best sex you can ever have. Number 4, prioritize emotional and physical connection together. You have to make it a priority, make a commitment to prioritize it. This means checking in regularly with each other about how you're feeling emotionally and also making time for that physical touch and for intimacy. You might schedule time for date nights. That's so important, where you have a time away from the kids, away from all the distractions, where you focus on emotional bonding. Also make a space for physical closeness, whether it's a cuddle on the couch or more intimate moments in the bedroom. These intentional efforts help maintain both emotional and physical connection over time. You say, well, that doesn't sound spontaneous. In our busy lives as married couples, especially with children, especially if the children are young, just that spontaneity is probably a wishful thought. Schedule times to love each other. In relationships, emotional intimacy and physical intimacy go hand in hand. And when we feel emotionally safe and connected with our partner, physical intimacy becomes a way to express that closeness in a powerful, meaningful way. When we engage in physical touch, it reinforces that emotional bond, making the relationship stronger and more resilient. So the key is to work on both types of intimacy at the same time together by being emotionally vulnerable, engaging in non-sexual touch, communicating openly about your needs physically, and making time for both emotional and physical connection. You create a relationship that is filled with love and trust and deep emotional security. I want you to try that out in these next couple of days. Maybe plan a date night. Do something where you can just have some time together. One of the things that Laura and I discovered is that you can on Amazon order some little questions for each other. And we found some deep emotional connections. It's just questions for couples and things like that. They're little cards or little books that you can order, and they'll come in and you'll have hundreds of questions to ask each other. Just to talk, just to be there for each other. And what Laura and I have discovered is that a deep emotional bond comes out of that. And maybe even physical intimacy. Give it a shot. This is Emotional Reset. I'm your host, Mark Shook, and we'll see you next time.